Recently, President Zuma approved the 5 names of the interim board members as recommended by Parliament. Those 5 names, Khanyisile Kweyama, who of course is the interim chair, veteran journalist Mathatha Tsedu, John Mattisson, Febbe Potgieter-Gqubule and Krish Naidoo. He was of course a former board member. So what we're going to basically do is continue this interview with the chair who's here visiting us this morning. We've touched on the financials, we've touched on the SCOPA report, and there's so much more to touch on. So we'll try and go through as much as we possibly can in this time that we have. Obviously, there's the report of the former public protector, Thuli Madonsela. Will the board apply its mind to the recommendations that were made already by the public protector?
The answer is yes. The brief by Parliament, as laid out in our appointment, is that we have to implement the recommendations. So clearly that says you apply your mind to it and do what it says. You know, we're not here to analyze it, to decide whether it's right or wrong. It's there. Parliament has said go out and do what needs to be done. Yeah. So yes, we will be implementing that.
Okay, good. Because I mean it's a very big issue, and I think one of the things that the Democratic Alliance and those that worked on this preliminary investigations into the SABC, some of the recommendations, and we'll go through one of them, and perhaps you can help us with them. The DA are saying that they want all questionable contracts to be terminated. And I think when they talk about this, they talk about the multi-choice deal and the ANN7 deal, or the Gupta deal, as we see here on this particular program that gets that was brought up, the New Age Breakfast. Your interpretation of this, and what do you think going forward on this?
Yes, it's one of our action points. And like I said to you before, a lot of investigation has been done already. So we are not here to reinvestigate. We are here to take the recommendations that have come out of the Parliament process, which include the Public Protector's report, and implement what we are told to do.
Yeah.
So we're not opening up any new investigations. So, for instance, on the illegal, so to say, contracts, it says cancel and do whatever it takes. But clearly, when you are cancelling a contract, you have to call in a legal mind to review what the terms are. However, if that contract has already been deemed to be illegal, it says the foundation already says that it's illegal, therefore get rid of it. So, but everything is a process. You know, there are steps. Even in a disciplinary hearing for an employee, you find somebody taking the cookie out. The Labour Relations Act says you have to go through the process of disciplinary before you finally say go. You just don't go in and issue termination letters to people. You go through the process so that you give them a hearing. However, there are processes that have already gone to a court. They were found guilty. They appealed, and a Supreme Court has already made the ruling, and it has said, now do the discipline as an employee, as an employer, do the discipline. So our role there is to do the discipline rather than to investigate whether that should have been in the first place. Yeah,
you were here to action.
We are here to action,
and that's what's important, because all the talks, all the court cases, all of the to and fro is not doing the organisation any well, because this is where we're seeing money being wasted. And I mean, talk of the fact, and perhaps you can confirm it or not. I don't know if you've had a chance to examine the funds and the monies here at the SABC. Are we operating from the reserve funds?
Not to that detail, but you know, we are with SCOPA on Monday. So if you say, have we gone and sat with CFO and finance and literally gone line by line item? No, we haven't had that opportunity 3 days into our appointment. However, there is an Auditor General's report that forms a foundation. So we are not going to go back and do what the Auditor General has already done. If it says these are the recommendations, these are the areas that need to be dealt with, we do that in that instance. And yes, we are operating on reserves.
So we are operating on reserve here at the SABC. Let's talk about Claudie Motswaneng, because I think there's a lot of confusion around Claudie. Is he still being paid by the SABC? Is he still on the payroll, and is he still employed by the SABC?
We haven't determined that yet, but today we will ask that question. maybe just to take you through from Monday to today.
Yeah.
Monday, obviously, trying to sort out our own diaries so that we are able to come here, because most of us have other things that they are doing, but also waiting to be formally appointed so that we can actually get into the SABC. Tuesday, we spent the whole day with SCOPA. We spent part of the morning as the board only. So we had our first impromptu board meeting. We then had a full day's meeting with SCOPA that went into the detail that you are talking about. SCOPA was obviously doing an oversight visit based on the Auditor General's report, based on interactions that they've had with SABC management in the past, mostly SABC executives. So they obviously asked a lot of detailed questions about, we asked you to provide this, we asked you to provide that, this is what are the finances and all that. So we have had the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Today we will spend with the Portfolio Committee on Communications, which one of our objectives as the interim board is to establish. We've read the report, obviously.
Yeah.
We saw the hearings, just as the public.
Yes.
And we have identified about 20 action points that are coming out of that, around governance, around ensuring that the governance is intact and in place. The SABC has not had a board for the past 8 or more months. So there's a lot that needs to be cleaned out, reconstituting the committees, all those things. So that is a bucket that we have to look at. Then there's obviously the human resources bucket, which is where you talk about Cloudy.
Yeah.
But there's much more to human resources bucket. There's the unfilled vacancies. There's people acting in various roles. So we have to sort out that bucket. But to be outright with you on what is normally referred to as the cloudy manner, there has been a legal process. There is a judgment from the Supreme Court in the Western Cape that says, no, don't come back. SABC institute a formal disciplinary process so that you can sort that out.
Yeah.
So that is what we have to do.
Yeah, so that has to be done. I mean, there's talk of misrepresenting qualifications, abuse of power, improper conduct, irregular contracts being awarded. So there's all those things that have been found, but now it needs to be implemented. Political interference. And we saw the very brave journalists represented by the SABC 8 being very, very open, talking about the political interference and the things that do happen here at the SABC. Again, is that something that, and viewers are aware of this, and they're losing faith in their public broadcaster. We're seeing TV licenses not being paid, and all of this having a ricochet effect on the organization. Political interference. What are you going to do about this? How are we going to look into that?
Well, when governance has been established and the accountabilities are very clear, there is a board, we report to an executive authority, the board then ensures that the organization flows in the same way. So what it means is that the board should not be open to political interference so that that doesn't filter down to management. And if it comes from any other level, because the executive should take its directions from the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it should come from. And clearly, if anybody does anything that's outside of that, then as a board, we have to act.
Yeah. Now, have you had a meeting with the minister as yet?
Not yet. We are scheduling that, yeah. So we've requested, no, we haven't requested the meeting yet. I've just asked Secretariat to draft me a letter so that I can sign it when I'm here today, requesting a formal meeting. You can't request a meeting with the minister through the media. So I will sign that letter requesting a meeting.
Finally, as we close up, and I think it is vitally important because there are many people that work here at the SABC, and the staff morale is very low. And people are worried about their jobs. They're worried about losing it. They're worried where the organization is going, reshuffling taking place, and completely sort of hoping that you come to work and then you're hoping you get paid. What's your word to them? How do you comfort the people that are working here?
Look, I think we can say to them there is stability at last in terms of the board, because part of the reason is that when the pilot is not in place, that's why people are going all over the place and anybody can do as they please. So now we are saying to staff, we are here. We have been sent here to fix the institution, to start putting the elements into place that will ensure that going forward, because there's also no point in fixing it for 6 months. Indeed. And then 6 months later people are faced with the same problems again. So we have a very critical role to ensure that the foundation is in place, it's firm, and what we can give to assurance as staff is that we come here to do what Parliament has told us to do. And Parliament has the best interest of the employees. So we have the best interest of the employees at heart.
Indeed.
We will communicate with the employees as much as possible, because that's also part of the problem when people don't know what's going on. And that's why we are sitting here at 6 o'clock in the morning, so that staff knows that we are here to make sure that you hear us, you have opportunities to communicate with us, and that you will have that ear. Clearly, you can't have 5,000 people coming to talk to the board. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
However, that openness, that transparency needs to be there. And it does mean that we have to go out using technology, talk to various offices, using these platforms to ensure that people are seeing a face, are seeing people that they know have their interests at heart, are telling the truth, and will do what is good for the corporation.
Well, we have all the faith in the world in you, and thank you for talking to us. Thank you for your honesty, and we wish you the best of luck during these 6 months. Please visit us on a regular basis so that we can update staff and update South Africa, because as much as your loyalties lie with the staff, at the end of the day, this is the SABC that belongs to the people.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. This, of course, was Khanyisile Kweyama, who is the chairperson of the new interim board. Let's take a very quick